Now that PlayStation Plus is getting a new price hike, and now that I have a brand new PC that won't crash on me while playing GameCube games of all things, I decided it was time to try this whole Xbox Game Pass thing. I mean, I hear it get mentioned all the time in the gaming community, but never really cared much for it. Prior to getting it, I actually didn't know much about it. I pretty much didn't know anything except for the fact that you could play games on PC and on Xbox. And why would I? After all, my PC has always been mid and struggled to run any kind of game, and I've always had the latest PlayStation or Nintendo console. So in my mind, why would I bother with anything involving Xbox? It just seems like a waste of time. Now after having Game Pass for a month and using it on my brand new computer, I can say, this is by far probably one of my favorite subscription services out there. And let me be clear. Firstly, I fully understand that I'm super late to the party on this whole Game Pass thing, but it's still extremely new to me. And I'd imagine there's a bunch of gamers out there that are just as oblivious. I know I'm friends with some of them. Secondly, as much as I love it, just like everything, it has its faults. It's nowhere near perfect, as is every single subscription-based service ever. But for someone who was coming into this thing completely blind, to say I was impressed at the game selection and application would be a huge understatement. I've had friends who were Xbox mains all throughout my life, and having a way to finally play games with them like this was new, borderline surreal. Sure, crossplay exists on a lot of free-to-play games like Fortnite and Apex and certain AAA paid titles, but when on a PlayStation, never like this. I got to play Halo for the first time on my PC with my Xbox friends, all while using a PlayStation 5 controller. This doesn't feel real, and in fact this whole thing feels like a huge fun fever dream. But I don't even think that's the coolest part about it. Being able to play games day one for essentially free kinda hits different. I remember seeing gameplay of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre when it was first announced and thinking to myself, wow, this looks like a fun, random multiplayer game to just lose time to and goof off with friends. Then seeing it was $40, I knew I was never actually gonna play it, shy of it being free for Plus like a year later. With so many games coming out, I didn't want to invest into this, until the week I got Game Pass. Turns out, Texas Chainsaw was a day one drop, and I got to play it with friends regardless. Was the game good?
I don't know what I'm doing.
Why'd you let him next to me, Dom?
Alright, I don't know if you're playing on control.
How do I move? Oh, I gotta just mash A to sprint? That's crazy, I'm on a fucking PlayStation controller, there's no A. Oh, this leather fuck is following me close behind. That's not what this video is about. But I got to play a brand new game. A game I normally would have missed out on day one alongside everyone else. I may not own it, but I kinda don't care. I had a lot of fun playing regardless. And this is coming from someone who prefers a physical format. $10 a month to essentially rent out games for a fun time like this is well worth it. I mean, hell man, just last week Starfield, this big AAA title that people have been hyping up for God knows how long, was also day one release. I personally know nothing about it, but I get to try it. Like, that's cool as hell. And even if AAAs don't do it for you, the collection of games that are available are varied and have something for everyone. I finally got my chance to play Tinykin, a platforming game with elements of Pikmin that I've had my eyes on forever. Ravenlock, a game that has been on my girlfriend's wish list since its reveal trailer, and even Power Wash Simulator. Don't ask me why, but this somehow has become one of my friends' group's go-to games the last month, and we've been playing it for like 7 hours straight every day for like 5 weeks. The point is that there's variety. And while I'll never argue about the variety of something like PlayStation Plus Premium, there's an argument to be made about the incentive. PlayStation Premium is not something that I can engage with my PC friends, and though they do add titles often, it's rare for them to be AAA releases that are still new and fresh. I'm not going to compare apples to oranges, but there's a clear difference in quality and quantity that can be shown with these two subscription-based services, and I feel the comparison is fair. Because they're two subscription-based services in which they offer games and other small little perks. Sure, you can argue, well, at least PlayStation has its exclusives, and that's an incentive. After all, I'll be the first to say that when it comes to AAA titles, PlayStation knows how to release some insane heavy hitters. But as time passed, all those games eventually are gonna end up making their way to PC anyway. And it's not like they ever got added to premium on release, so how much of an incentive is that exclusivity really? I've had premium and enjoyed my time with it, as there were always some cool new game to discover in its larger library. But keep in mind, I can enjoy more games with more people on Game Pass. Not for a lack of having PlayStation friends, just having nothing to play. I think there's something to be said about all this. Looking at Game Pass with its crossplay and library, it's all just something that as a PlayStation fan, I never really got to appreciate. And its pricing of $10 a month is beyond fair for what we're getting. And now that PlayStation is shooting themselves in the foot with their price hike, I don't even feel like renewing even just for Plus. PlayStation hasn't released any hit multiplayer games in forever, so if I want to play what's new and what everyone else is playing, Game Pass just seems to be the way to go. I mean, after all, I can play most of the Halos with my friends, which is kind of cool. It's not like Resistance multiplayer is still a thing. If I'm on my PlayStation nowadays, it's usually playing free-to-plays or single-player games anyway, so what's my incentive for continuing to buy into that? I think if you own a PC that can play games well and have a bunch of friends you can play with, try out Game Pass, and if you already have it, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Personally, I'm super excited to see what else is going to be offered in the coming months, and I'm hoping Microsoft can continue improving this great service that they built. Because they definitely got a new loyal fan out of me.